Hello, 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 hello. That's sounding all right. Let me just reposition the microphone, make sure it's in the right place. Okay. Oh, there's a big crack. So I am just going to quickly I fade this out. Show transition. Can I pop that there and then start that and then I don't know. I don't know if that works. Right then, regardless of anything, hello, welcome back. I am going to be pretty much just going straight into it now. Before I do anything though, I'm going to be doing a little slash playtime, and I'll make a note of how much I've actually been going for so far. So here I am, playtime. So I've been playing for 1 hour and 56 minutes, and we are coming up to the first bit outside of Gridania, which means I should really go and I'll do that first. What I should really do is go and to my job quest and get that going. Because the idea behind this is speed, but not like speed running. That might be something I may actually end up doing at some point. The idea of speed running an MMO like 14 does kind of, in a way, that does kind of tickle my fancy. It sounds like an absolutely ridiculous thing to do, therefore it's the only kind of speed running that I might ever want to do. But regardless of anything, the experiment continues. I'm going to see in about another 2 hours kind of where I get to. But now we are moving away from your starting city, and we're going to go be a dignitary for others, so the other 2 starting cities. And I'll just skip through all of the nonsense. I've got to go downstairs. See, the sprint does a lot of good. Like, there's a part of me thinking that maybe I should have gone for a range class, purely because of a peloton, but all in all, it's not really going to do that much in the grand scheme of things. Potentially, I have been thinking for just like overall speed, like when I say necessary quests, that may very well be the ether currents and the grabbing the ether currents and doing the ether quests, so I can have flying. Now, that's, that's by the by, and we shall soon see very much how that's going to work. Thankfully, in the Realm Reborn, because it's retroactively placed in, I get flying just because. Alright, left attendant, bulwark hall. Yeah. So because of a Realm Reborn being like that, and they added it back in Shadowbringers, I remember rightly. No, it was definitely Shadowbringers. And go away, Admiral. Even though you've got the cooler voice. Like this is stuff from which we are going to do. Oh, you know what I am going to do actually. Let me just quickly character configuration, display names, others, minimize. Right. Yeah, I don't need other players. Oh god, what's going on here? Let's go back to the airship landing. It's a Friday night, everyone's having fun it seems, and I am going to run away. I'm not doing anything like that. But yeah, airship landing. I'll come back and I'll do some cleanup and everything at some point, because in the long run it will help. But we'll get the main things done first, because as soon as I'm finished all of this nonsense, it's on to the first dungeon, which is Sestasha, which is everyone's favourite roulette. Actually, no, there's... I might have to do... I might have to do a silly little short or something along the lines of what the tier list for worst thing in your roulette, in your leveling roulette, in your, you know, high level roulette, and so on and so forth. Actually, no, that's actually a really good idea, and I think I should actually do it, because that seems like some fun. You know, top 10 best / worst dungeons to get. With the joke being, they're all terrible. I suppose someone will at least get that kind of joke. But for the moment, let's go and... Oh god, it's Ladies' Day. This is going to date the video a little bit. So, as far as I'm aware, the new patch comes out at the end of the month. If I can do stuff well enough, I should, and take this with a grain of salt, I should be able to get through at least to Dawn Trail in that time. Cool. Right, Call to Sea, whatever. Finally, let's go back to... Oh, shit. That's probably a good idea if I don't... if I don't teleport out of here without actually getting the main ether out. I'll do that first. Then we will go back to... Yeah, we'll go back to Limsa and we'll pick up that quest. And because I have to actually run around here a little bit more, I think I'm just going to quickly grab a couple of bits and pieces. I will come back and do this another time. I just kind of want to get through as much as possible, as quickly as possible. Right, let's do the goblets. What's this different music, by the way? I don't remember this music playing at this point. Shit. Have I fucking... Oh, no, it's straight down here. Like, compared to the normal theme, which I've heard for a long time, it's kind of interesting running around Uldar with something different. Yeah, to kind of put it that way. But no, definitely, I'll make a note of the top 10 worst dungeons to get in leveling roulette. That'll I'm gonna bait the algorithm a little bit, and especially if like I'm not just gonna like I'll probably make a short where I kind of quickly where I quickly kind of gloss over things, but the actual video I'll make it a little bit longer, and I'll kind of go into why I personally don't like this. I will probably have to get some older footage though, find previous versions of dungeons, because they've streamlined the hell out of almost everything now. In a way, like I'm not gonna lie, in a way I do miss how certain dungeons play. For example, as much as I hate to admit it, the 1,000 Snores of Toto Rack. I kind of miss how open-ended it used to be, and you had to kind of like actually go and do stuff you had several different options to do stuff. And if you were on top of things, you could make your next lot a lot easier. And it's kind of disappointing in a way, but they had to kind of make it so the duty support would work. And it's it's just a little bit. Yeah, whatever. Capable adventurer. What do I need? Sorry, just having a quick swig of my drink. And yep. So yeah, it's one of those where it's like you do lose, you know, especially some of the experimentation. Like you lose a little bit of it, and I am kind of sad in a way. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of sad because yes, if you've done that dungeon a million times over, it does become rather just rote. And where am I going down here? The ferry docks. That's where it's pointing me to. Oh, that's cool. So I'll just go around to the Fisherman Guild. But yeah, it does lose a little bit of that kind of like, oh, they were trying out this, they did this, they did this. And it is very much the, you know, there's the whole like, everything is now just a corridor. You got 2 packs to pull. You got a boss. Then you've got another 2 packs to pull. And then you've got your second boss. And then you pull another 2 packs, possibly even 3. And then you got your third boss. And while those bosses may have, you know, some interesting mechanics, all of this, that, and the other, it's very formulaic. And to a degree, there is a level of comfort. You know what you're getting. You know what you're going to be looking towards. Oh, Hall of the Novice. Fuck off. I don't need this. Get out of my way. I'm a new player. I do not need this. Don't tell me how to play. But regardless, yeah, it's very much the thing of like everything's been homogenized to a certain degree, for ease of use, for players. And I do think there is a large portion of the quote-unquote solo players of Final Fantasy XIV, mainly the Japanese ones, who are more, not so much more listened to, but they hold a large share of the attention of the devs, being quote-unquote fans of the series in general. Yep, close. Bye. And we've got our first dungeon. So I am going to be utilizing the fact that I can do most of the game now as a solo player. So I'm not going to be waiting around for queue times. I'm not going to be waiting around for anything like that. What I'm going to be doing is going straight in. And if I cared about any of the story, there's, hey look, all of these characters that become things later on. Isn't that cool? It is kind of cool. And for my other character, which I will be doing at some point, I will probably I'll probably be speaking to all of them. Yes, whatever. I understand what I must do. I must do this. Go away. Register. Bish bash bosh. And we're in. So, what is it? I've been going now for 19 minutes, and we're in the first dungeon. And now, hopefully, this shan't take all that long. Oh, bugger! I need enemies, unengaged enemies. Default. Shit. I didn't mean to. Party members. I'm terribly sorry. I need to go. Species never. Yeah, that's what I needed. Oopsie doopsie. I forgot, and I pressed the wrong thing. I wanted to get other players' names out of the way, especially for when I'm going to be doing various bits and pieces. You know, and I'm trying to get through. You know, I'm trying to get through a main town, and there's just loads of people stood there, or just in general trying to get through anywhere, and there's going to be a load of other players just kind of sat there, and no one wants to be on stream without actually wanting to be on stream, and I get that. Like, I understand completely. Now, the issue with Dragoon at this level is very much you're stuck, you don't have a lot of buttons, but there's not really many classes that do have a lot of buttons at this point. Like, if you're willing, you know, if you're wanting to do like AoE damage, you've got essentially Thaumaturge, possibly Archer, and then your tanks. You know, your Gladiator and your Paladin, Gladiator and your Marauder. And you don't really do much else. You know, healers don't have any AoE. None of the other physical classes really do. I think possibly Pugilist has one AoE move. But because I'm doing stuff with the NPCs, and I'm letting the kind of computer help me along, they're going to be pulling, you know, small packs anyway, so there's absolutely no need, and I mean literally no need, for me to use AoE whatsoever. So this is going to take time, but in the grand scheme of things, the fact that I can get in immediately and I can get going immediately, in fact, does actually take less time than waiting as a DPS forever to try and get a queue. Now, you don't actually have to do any of these little packs here. It's only the bigger enemies that are kind of more in your way. And we can just ignore everything else. Let's get rid of you first, so that everyone can actually target this one, and it's dead. And if I just kind of keep myself to the side here. Yeah, whatever. Fuck. They got all of them. Right. I do know the strat is to just pull everything now and just kind of take it all the way over. But that is not going to happen with this group of NPCs. So, regardless of that, it's like, and I have strange memories about Sestasha, because I've done it so many times over the years, and I've done it so many times when I'm like half asleep. That is food. So, I'm going to get some food coming up in a second. So I will probably mute the stream in just a moment. Dude. Right, so I'm just going to carry on, and I'm going to mute myself for a moment so you don't get blasted by someone coming through the door. So I'm just going to mute for just a moment. Hello. I muted because I was expecting someone to come up through the door. What's going on here? Right, one second. I'm having a little bit of trouble. It's saying that. Right, is there something up here? It's saying that it's not coming through as nice. Just give me a second. I'm just going to try and see what I can do about this. So, error, YouTube is not. Nope. Oh, it's gone away. Right, okay, that's fine. Right. Just give me 1 second. I'm just going to mute again.
Try.
Okay. Just a little bit of technical technical stuff. Apparently my mic is a little bit quiet, and to be honest, I don't know whether or not that's just because I'm being quiet. To be perfectly honest, I thought I was talking quite normally. Oh well. Right, I didn't check what the actual thing was for this, so I'm just gonna try each and every one. It's nothing. Right. We'll try this one. And still nothing. So that's some time wasted. Oh well. Either way. Yeah, I can just spawn the boss now. Yes. I'll spawn the boss. And I'll beat Tony Chopper. I'm pretty sure that's a direct kind of One Piece little reference. I know, especially back when Endwalker was coming out, I know that Yoshi P did say that One Piece was one of the series that they kind of did pay attention to, and it's good to hear that my mic is better now. Yeah, so One Piece was definitely something that they were looking towards and they were taking inspiration from. Not so necessarily from the aspects of like narrative itself, but more from a kind of format for the story and everything like that. And go away. Now let's hope I get something that can be useful for me. The answer is no. I do not get anything. But yeah, we're going to pretty much just sprint through this. It's not going to take too long. I'm hoping there's some sort of... because I know when you do it unsynced, you get a timer. So I'm hoping there's going to be some sort of timer to say, like, hey, you complete this dungeon in this amount of time. So I can kind of get, like, an idea. It was about 19 minutes when I did actually unlock the dungeon. So let's say we've been going for about 10 minutes now, and that's it. That's with technical kind of it's not technical, it's you know, kind of doing some adjustments on the fly. So I'll be interested to see just exactly how long a general dungeon will take, especially as I get more and more skills. It shouldn't take me quite as long. I'm also aware that I'll probably be fairly undergeared for the majority of the game, because I'm not gonna bother. Like poetics and stuff like that. There should be no reason why I should need to spend and take the time out to spend on gear. The game gives you enough stuff, especially by this point. I'm just gonna have a sippy. So we got some Mackie D's today. Planted cuirass, and that is not useful for me whatsoever. I'll probably have to end up doing some kind of inventory management at some point soon, especially as I'm probably going to start getting gear which is no use to me whatsoever. Like all of the tank stuff and everything like that, because I'm not going to even consider leveling up anything else. The idea is I've picked my thing, I'm going to stay as my thing, and I'm going to go right to the quote-unquote end, and then see if I can actually get anywhere with that. Now, in my downtime, I've got a level 100 Dragoon on my main character, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start putting in the time to really understand rotations and everything like that. So at least the poor people who are going to be part of this experiment aren't getting someone who is kind of not worth their time, because I do understand that, especially if I'm going to be going into it and I'm going to be like, right, hey, I'm Dragoon only, I'm doing this, that and the other, and this is part of a kind of YouTube experiment. I'll be straight up with it, and I'll be like, right, yeah, I'm a veteran player, but I'm trying to see, like, from the new person's point of view, how quickly could I quote unquote meet up with my friends at the end game. Now, what does happen a lot, which is also a factor I'm kind of going to put into it, because this happened to me several times, is that you get to the end game, and then by that point, your friends have decided that they no longer want to play. So they want to go off and do something else, or they've gone back to World of Warcraft, or they've now decided that, hey, this new game's come out, and we have the spare cash, so we're going to start playing that now. But you don't have the spare cash. You've got enough maybe to spend, about a tenner a month, which is also happens to be the amount for a subscription to an MMO like this. So you go, well, I'm liking this. This is kind of cool. I've been paying attention to the story, or well, in this case, not paying attention to the story. But my own personal thing is I was paying attention to the story, I was getting involved in other classes, because especially back then when you had to level multiple classes to even get your job. And to get any cross-class skills, you'd have to level, maybe 2 or 3 classes up to a certain degree, and a bunch of them were even at level 30 odd. So that's like over halfway back in the Realm Reborn. So it's definitely one of those where it's like you spend the time, you actually you're paying attention to it, and you get to the end game, and those people who were interested have either gotten themselves a group, they've moved on to something else because they're being fickle, or it's lost their attention, so they no longer care, and because they no longer care, they're no longer playing, so you're stuck, and then you randomly find some other people, and then that's part of the MMO life cycle, I've come to believe over time. But regardless of that, I'm hoping that I'll be quote unquote good enough, because I have done Savage raiding in the past. Funnily enough, Stormblood was the major expansion that I did do. I did do raiding in. I did first coil with a group back when I first started playing. That was primarily French people, I think. There was a bunch of us from all different places, and I did first coil, and then after that I kind of dropped off out of doing raiding because I didn't really like it. I kind of they needed another tank, but they wanted a paladin. They wanted double paladins because warriors were in a really weird place, and they weren't that good. It was only after extensive kind of balance patches and kind of rejigging their kind of toolkit did warrior kind of really come into its own and start shining. So I was a paladin for a good while, and I really didn't like how limited the job actually was. I was essentially relegated, especially on the first fighting coils. I was essentially limited to just pressing my 1-2-3 combo and silencing something. And I wasn't used to how MMO combat worked back then. I wasn't used to the whole bits and pieces, like AoEs and stuff. Like, I didn't really know, like, oh, I could move and do stuff, and I didn't quite understand everything. Like, I'd read tooltips, but they didn't sink in. And I think the next time I actually tried properly, I would say, is I tried to get in on in Heaven's Ward. But the issue with that was I was on an American server. So I'd moved from the European server to an American server because it didn't really matter. And I'd also started living up back with my parents after uni, and they were out in the middle of nowhere, and the internet was atrocious. I mean, genuinely bad internet. This is back in Heaven's Ward, so like 2015 or so. And I tried, but the latency and everything to do with the internet means I couldn't. Funnily enough, I was trying as Dragoon again. I couldn't get my rotation off or dodge things quick enough because I couldn't do the double weaves, I couldn't get out of AoEs, and it just never worked. Just trying to remember when I moved back over to EU. Must have been, I'm pretty sure it was at the end of Heaven's Ward, because I remember doing my Anima Relic and actually doing some Savage, and it wasn't actually that bad. Because I remember the whatchamacallit, the Alexander fight itself, the end of the creator tier being quite nice for newer players, and it was at like a nice medium difficulty where a lot of people got back into raiding because of that, because it wasn't that much of a task to clear. And then during Stormblood, I got myself back to somewhere with much better internet. I was living back by myself as well, and I then decided, like, oh, you know what, I'll try and get into a Savage group. I'll try to find a static, and I'll actually give this a proper go. So I managed to complete the first tier, the second tier, and I never got into completing the final fight for the third tier. Unfortunately, Midgar Sommer and Omega itself, before you get to the kind of final fight with the Omega MNF, really, it kind of took it out for me. I was playing Monk. I played Samurai? No, I played Warrior for the first chunk of yeah, the first chunk up until like I think the XDEF, and then I got into another group and I played Samurai, and I'm level 20. That's nice. Yeah, and then I played Samurai for the actual XDEF fight because I had a kind of a carry. Then when I was in this other group, I played as a monk. So I played for a monk as on Sigmascape, and then when we got into Alphascape, oh excuse me, nice glass of Coke. Oh, I've got a message. I wonder what that is. But regardless, I'll just teleport back. And we needed a ninja for the raid wides, especially Trick Attack. And because I was one of these people who, genuinely leveled all of my classes, and I knew, I had something at least geared enough, or I could start gearing it up, I ended up as the ninja on the team. Now, I do not like playing Final Fantasy XIV Ninja. I my the rotation, the mudras, everything like that just rolls straight off of my smooth brain, and I really can't get on with it. It's a shame. It's definitely one of those where it's like I could probably figure it out if I had the time to kind of and the want to. But unfortunately, considering everything, I really could not be bothered. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to quickly do this. You find a... Yeah, so I'm starting... I've got plenty of gear space, that's fine. Once it starts filling up a bit, I'm going to start selling. Skip. So we go back to home. But yeah, it's one of those. So yet again, and I did have that kind of reoccurrence of I didn't get the chance to play as what I wanted to, and I ended up playing something that I really didn't vibe with. But because I wanted to stay in the team and everything like that, and once we got to the final fight of Alphascape, I just kind of went, I can't be bothered with this anymore. The group was kind of falling apart a little bit as well, and we just kind of ended up stopping. And to be honest, it's like it's a classic thing. You've got to wrangle 7 other people as well as yourself, to be able. You've got to wrangle everyone together so that they can get to the same place for multiple hours on the same day, possibly even multiple days per week. And I worked a bar job, which means that no, yes, I'm not gonna join any free companies, by the way. Literally just running through. I know that there's the whole like, if I was to kind of meet up with friends, then surely I would, join a free company or something like that. But I'm literally gonna just beeline. Everything is just beeline. And so actually being able to go back into not so much hardcore, because it's like I'm not going to unless I get to a certain point where I'm happy enough and I can play well enough. I might attempt ultimates with this character, just essentially for giggles. But mainly this is to try and get like, and if I can at least get into like the first fight of the new tier, then I would say that experiment is success. And then we go like, right, the playtime is X. It's X amount of hours. It takes you around about this long. It's probably going to take longer for an actual new player, but on the kind of more speedy side of things, this is kind of how long it's going to take for, you know, your average person to get to the point where they can actually start experiencing the quote unquote the end game. And I'll kind of have like a time, like we'll kind of go like, right, playtime is as of now, it's this. If I remember rightly, Tamtara's still only like level 16. Go away. Yes, go away. Bugger off. Leave me alone. Yeah, that's more like it. Oh, level 21. Ooh. But yeah, so you've got that whole thing of like, right, once we get to the point where it's like, right, I can unlock, so it'll be up to current main story, and then it will be the raid, the most current raid stuff. So getting up, so I've completed normal tier of the second tier of the expansion. Thankfully, they throw the first 3 dungeons at you really quickly. Kind of, you know, it's bam, bam, bam. You actually go out and do some content you've had long enough to kind of mess around doing just, you know, your average fetch quests. You know, go out and do some stuff with other people, even though that's more now go out and do stuff with NPCs. When I have finished Copperbell, I will go and I will catch up, because hopefully by Copperbell I should be approaching level 25, and then I can do 2 job quests in a row, and that'll be quite nice. And then it's just kind of going from zone to zone, and yeah, going from zone to zone, getting all my other bits and pieces done. If I can get to actually being a Dragoon, that would be really nice. I'm not anticipating doing that today. Like, what is it? We are now 48 minutes in. So we're second dungeon, 48 minutes in. Yeah, Sestasha actually went pretty quickly. And this, as far as I remember, does go actually a lot quicker. So we can get this one out of the way. We can then get Copperbell Mines done reasonably quickly, especially now that they changed that as well. And there's a certain thing, like, that I miss the original slime boss. I liked the original slime boss to a degree. It could have had some more interesting tweaking, where you didn't just have your DPS sat by where the bomb spawned, just to kill the Spriggan that would go after the bomb. You know, you could have tweaked it so it was a less of a just a tank and spank, and instead you actually have to do some stuff. But all things considered, like, I get why they've streamlined. I get why they've made the dungeons a lot more amenable for their AI to go through. Because if people are asking purely for, if people are asking purely for single player content, where they can experience the MMO separate from the RPG, then, you know, all things said and done, it's like, I don't actually mind that to a degree. You can go through it in, you know, however long you like. There's no impetus. Like, the fact that there's a purely vertical gearing system as well is something that's like, you know, you can kind of get away with that because, hey, you've recently gotten to Endgame, and, you know, current Endgame requires this. It doesn't take you long to get up to that. and it's easier to catch up. There's still certain things where I think I agree with a lot of the community where it's kind of unnecessary just how long you kind of have to wait before you can catch up appropriately, especially on a game where you only technically need one character. And because you only need one character, that means you can play any role, unless you want to do endgame content, and then you're kind of stuck. Because let's say, for example, I want to play a tank. Well, I've got 4 tanks to choose from, but to get the right gear, I kind of have only one tank I can choose at a time, because they all have different stat balances. So if I want to be best in slot, then you run into the issue of, well, warrior doesn't want skill speed, but let's say gunbreaker does. Well, I'm playing warrior at the moment, but I'd like to move over to gunbreaker because someone in we've just switched up, and someone's left the party, but they only have a warrior maxed for themselves, and they like to play that. And you start running into problems, or you go like, well, I'm sick of doing tank. Maybe I want to heal, and we've done the fights enough now that we'd like to start seeing how it would work if people were in different roles. So like, oh, one of the healers wants to try being a DPS. They want to play summoner because they've been our scholar for ages. And we've got one of the DPS that's like, oh, right, yeah, I'll play Sage. I'll fulfill the same role within the healers. Being the barrier healer as opposed to like Astrologian and White Mage, which are more like reactive rather than proactive. And you then start running into issues of like, well, you can technically kind of do stuff with crafted gear. So if you manage to get crafted gear, you put in the guild cost, and you spend just money to be able to get geared up to a certain degree so you can start doing it. But the gear itself within the actual fight, it's going to take you 8 weeks. Like 8 weeks of clearing for like one piece of gear. Especially for like chest pieces and and leg pieces. And then it's going to take you 2 weeks if it's the tombstone gear, which is the good gear for you. And then you have to make sure that you get the through the 24 mans, you get the upgrade material, and then you get the upgrade material from the second fight. And there's a lot of stuff where once the fights have been solved for long enough, the kind of, what's the best way to, like, the lockouts stop making as much sense. And it's I'm in combat, damn it. But I'm actually getting the gear from this. Nice. I like how the gear looks. Like the first set, like it's nice, it's basic, but it does the job of like, hey, you're no longer so much of a fledgling adventurer, you're kind of coming into your own. I'm sorry just to change subject so quickly, but I'm still talking about gear. But yeah, it's one of those things, and like I felt it myself, but thankfully we were moving to a new tier, so I was going to be starting off with, starting fresh anyway. But you shouldn't have to wait until a new tier before you can start gearing up a second class. It's something that they've had trouble with now for a while, and it's only, especially if you've got like a good couple of months in between, and people are, begun raid logging, where they only log in to do their weekly clears, and then there's nothing else for them to do, quote unquote, in the game. And there is a lot to do in this game, but if you've been playing it for as long as I have, you might have done a lot of that stuff. What's the point of going back to older content? Okay, so yeah, I've decided to level up Red Mage. So I can get cool red mage weapons from old, old raids, or I can get something from Eureka if I choose to do Eureka, or I can get something from, I don't know, Bozja, or I can go into Palace of the Dead, or this, that, and the other. Like, there's stuff out there, but a lot of that content is, it's kind of few and far between now, and with the problem of it being older content, you're just not getting as many people doing it. And the MMO section of the MMORPG, once you've done the story, that's what's kind of maintaining you. And if you've made sure that you've leveled up everything, and you've made sure that you've kind of kept everything going, from expansion to expansion, you run into the problem of like, okay, so I'm now level 100. I've now gotten level 100 in all of my combat classes. I've got them in all of my crafters, my gatherers. And it's now coming up to, it's coming up to 7.2. But this game came out last year. And there's not, apart from it, like if you're doing treasure maps, or if you're kind of a part of a community that does specific content, there's not really much for you to do anymore. And it's not so much like the old thing of everyone kind of trying to get through as quickly as possible, and this, that, and the other. There's not much really to sink your teeth into. Now, if you're a new player at this point, and you're willing to go through everything, and you're willing to reach out and ask people, like when I got to certain points back in earlier expansions where I'd done pretty much all that I wanted to do, having someone new come along going like, oh yeah, I want to do this, but I want to do it properly. It's like, oh yeah, all right then, yeah, I'm happy to do that. I'm more than happy to come and help you do coils, or do this, or do that. It's like, oh, I want to level up this DPS, but the queues are awful. It's like, oh, okay, I'll just pop on my tank or my healer. I'll make those queues, go away for you. So that kind of spirit of help, that does it as well. And one of the things that I am kind of thinking of doing is like, with the second character that I'm going to do, which is probably going to take over once I get to at least Dawn Trail on this character. And like, because first off, we really need like when the exact date. So I've got myself the time limit of when Savage comes out and everything like that, and everyone is looking for people. That's when I'm gonna try and get up to Endgame, so I can then try and at least get into a group as quickly as I can. What I might do is I might put out myself. I'm gonna have to re-download ACT and do all of that stuff, make sure that my numbers are good. I don't even know what good numbers are anymore. I know we're not gonna get much from doing the in-game kind of the in-game Stone Sky Seas. No, I remember them not being too. It's very much a baseline. It's like, oh, can you at least do the Stone Sky Sea? I have to make sure I pay attention to materia and all of that jazz and everything like that. But thankfully, I should start earning, because I'm not really going to spend a lot of money. And the main story is going to give you like a fair amount as well. But yeah, I'm hopefully going to have a fair amount of cash ready and waiting for me, so I can at least buy some crafted gear. However, he says. However, within the first week, that is when crafted gear is extortionate. And I'm going to be not that lucky, especially just going through the game. I'm not going to be as lucky to, build up that much money, especially speeding through as much as I am. Like, I'm not even going to bother getting retainers. That's how much I'm just going to, like, speed through. Because I know people who got up to Endgame, who got up to this, that, and the other, and just like, what? Like, oh, my inventory's always full. It's like, oh, just put stuff in your retainer. Well, what's a retainer? He was like, there is a section of it which I will say is mechanics aren't explained, but that literally comes into the point of people need to read. Let's have another drink there. I need to move my glasses. I feel like I'm becoming quite nasally. But no, there's criticisms, not so much complaints, because there's a bunch of stuff that doesn't bother me, like level grinding and things like that don't bother me. And I don't mind doing stuff by myself, I don't mind doing it in groups. What I kind of mind is the fact that when you're expected to do something in a group and there's not a group there, that's the point where I start kind of getting a bit, irked. Alright, I'm fine. So it's definitely one of those where it's like there's a lot of aspects where I feel that, especially the split from the main dev team for people to go work on Final Fantasy 16, did really kind of harm to a degree. And this is one of the things that I am going to be talking about. I'm still kind of developing the key points of the video, and I'll probably be grabbing footage from these streams, especially like bosses and everything like that. And yeah, one of the main points is I think that the development team have gotten to a point where they're starting to rest on their laurels. They have all of this outpouring of support. They have people still being, and rightly so, kind of amazed that A Realm Reborn even happened at all, and the game still exists. Because there was definitely a point, and it's part of the whole documentary by NoClip and various articles, and most people who know about the game, know about its really, really terrible start, and then its miraculous rebirth, and how it's then become, there's various memes that have broken out into wider spaces, like the whole, have you tried the free trial for critically acclaimed MMORPG, FF14, blah, 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 blah. So, very much, they've had a lot, and I mean a lot, of goodwill. And I think now, with Dawntrail, they're starting to expect that goodwill, rather than work for it. And though it's something that you see in a lot of longer running games, that there's this struggle, this internal struggle between the yin and the yang of do the things that people like, but also try out new stuff. You got to keep going, you got to keep innovating, but it's, you've got limited resources. For every Bosja they make a diadem. For every, for for however many dungeons they made for Realm Reborn, which is like 20 odd, like from leveling up till post game. There were patches where you're getting 3 dungeons. You know, you got 3 new dungeons every patch, and your expert roulette would be a 1 in 3 chance of getting one of them. And you'd then be like, well, yeah, but they're all kind of the same. But it's, you know, at the same time, you're just there going like, well, but they don't do anything different anymore. So there's that very much that big thing of, let me check. So it was around about 40 odd minutes. So it's about 20 minutes it's taken to do that dungeon. Not bad at all. That's the itinerant Moogle. Where's the Moogle that gives me my mail? I might have to quickly jump into the inn room. But yeah, it's just one of those, like, I understand, like, and I'm not trying to go like, well, the devs are being lazy or this and the other, and I never will, because trying to get any kind of major project like this, and yeah, you might be bringing in the most money for Square Enix out of like some whales for, apart from some whales in, say, gacha games, but you still have to kind of, if you're not getting the resources, when you're misallocating things, you're starting to lose people, and it is sad to see. Where's a Moogle? Where's Delivery Moogle? It's up there. I'm going to quickly see what this letter is. Why do I have a letter? I thought I went through all of them. I genuinely thought I went through all of the stuff last time. Right, you. Oh. Oh. It's literally just another mount. Let's have a quick look here. I have mounts and minions galore. Let's get through all of these dead quickly. While I'm just kind of talking. So the idea is not to necessarily put the development team, put any of them down. It's more to just be like, right, let's make this known. And it's not just one section of the player base. It needs to kind of be for almost every end of the player base, from veterans to new players to, people who like casual content to hardcore content to people who want to play solo, people who want to play the MMO side of things. Is that we're happy for you to genuinely try, to genuinely experiment, and it's hard to do so because you've got the whole thing of, you're not gonna please everyone. You're definitely not gonna please everyone. So it then comes to the point of like, well, if you're trying to make stuff that will genuinely, if you're trying to make stuff that is going to be cast, the net is cast as wide as you possibly can, then you're going to please no one. So you might as well make stuff that you know will please some people, and then just carry on. Like, so the MSQ is one aspect. The hardcore raiding is another aspect. The ultimates are another aspect. Like, as long as you have the spaces for each type of player, then someone should find some kind of enjoyment. And you then have the whole aspect of, hey, your whatchamacallit, if you have nothing else to do in the game, why are you sticking with a subscription, a subscription-based MMO, when you should, in fact, put it down and play something else? That in of itself, like, the whole constant thing of, like, you must stay subscribed, you must keep up with your bits and pieces, like the housing aspect, yeah, it's not that great. I need to be to Western Fanalan. That'll be down here. So I have to go all the way to the other side. But yeah, like the whole issue of, you just, I can still see people's names through their bloody minions. Let me just remember to this way. Initials. Let's go for initials instead. That's better. Pet display. This is really annoying me. Oh, it's actually just abbreviated everything. That's fine now. I do not mind that. But yeah, what was I? I've kind of lost my train of thought now. But yeah, it's like the experimentation aspect of it, and being able to go off and do, content for only some people is better. But you have to make sure that there is that widespread, and not that you're expecting everyone to just do the same stuff. Because there's going to be people, like, for example, who will play genuinely like I'm playing this character, where they go, I don't care about the story, I want to hit things, or I want to jump on things as a dragoon. Which is, fair enough. Or I want to go into the hard stuff because I've seen, earlier fights and they look cool, and I want that level of, coordination and, everything like that. It's like, that genuinely, crack on. If you don't care about anything except for that, then that shouldn't be a problem. And if you care only for the story, and then going and hanging out in Limsa and dressing like some kind of, lady of the night or whatever, then go for it. If your whole thing is, I've literally leveled to a certain point so I can wear my streetwear and go to a quote-unquote nightclub and pretend not to talk it, and pretend to talk to people, and that is like, okay, that's also cool. Go for it. Like, there should be a lot of different things. It's an MMO. These are lifestyle games. But the fact is that 14 is kind of running, it's gotten itself into a rut, and it's kind of running into a problem where it's making stuff that people, like, all over aren't really that engaged in anymore. And I think there's been a fair amount of people, like, from all over the player base, who are now starting to make their particular worries and grievances known. And if it's not addressed, then, and if the current story keeps pushing people away, we've really got a problem. Okay then. So we're at Copperbell Mines. I'm just going to have another sip of my drink. I'm also going to quickly mute for a second, otherwise I'll rustle everywhere. Because I do have McDonald's. And I do have chips. Well, fries. Didn't mean to talk to you. So it's very much like I'm trying to gather my thoughts over how I'm going to approach this. Because I don't want to come off as I'm being like overly negative. But I don't want to come off like I'm just covering for everyone. Like, yeah, you know, I like Yoshi P. I like a lot of the development stuff. You know, they've made a game that I've been playing now for, you know, since 2013. That's going to come up to 12 years. This summer is 12 years I've been playing this one game. Pretty much, not so much constantly, but like, oh, come on. Right. I looked over and there was a big old warning that I'm not streaming that well. But yeah, like, it's the whole thing of just like, you know, you've got the you've got the problems of, you know, I want to be able to voice these things without having people jumping down my throat. It's like, oh, you're doing X, you're doing Y, you're doing blah 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 blah. Do they teleport? I'm just wondering if the NPCs are gonna follow me. Yeah, there you go. I'm guessing there's something to do with the pathing. where it goes a bit funny if they actually have to come into the lift and come down with you. No, see, I haven't really paid attention too much to the NPCs in later dungeons. It seems like they've kind of just been splattered into this one. I know it's been changed subtly, but not like overly. And so I think I'm going to have two parts to my video. Like the first one being hopefully coming out before the current patch comes out, and then the second one will be a kind of post 7.2 reevaluation of like have people been satiated by the new content that have come out? Are people still echoing the same kind of issues, the same kind of aspects? And then I'm probably gonna do another kind of like states of like how everything is going once the new exploratory zone comes out. So the exploratory zones like Eureka, like Boscia, I think this one is the Occult Crescent or something along those lines. I need to, off the top of my head, I can't remember the precise name. So once that comes out, and once people start sinking their teeth into that, I think that will be the point to kind of really take stock of everything and go like, right, was this worth the wait? Would people still, you know, I think people would still prefer if they could start their, you know, quote unquote relic weapons back when, you know, the expansion comes out. Because I do believe that having something that's kind of longer form that you can really start putting in the time to straight away, like you don't necessarily have to do it. You know, you've got raids, you've got this, that, and the other. But having something there where people can go like, well, I don't want to do the EX trial. I don't want to do the EX trial to get the weapons. What I'd rather do is the relic. because then I can just chip away at the relic. I can use my tomestones. I can use this, that, and the other. I'm kind of having a mixture, like the anima slash Bozja method. Like they have a good formula. It's like sometimes the formula works because you've got a lot of things to choose from. It puts people back in older contents. For a lot of it, it's like, hey, you need to do, for example, to get this item, you need 10 of this item. But you need to do below level 50 dungeons. Or you need to do 50 to 70 dungeons to get a different one. Or you need to do, 70 to 80, blah, blah, blah. There's so many different aspects where you can said dungeons or do said old contents, and you get people filling up that content for new players. You get queues happening again, and you give it a good spread, and you give people multiple options, so that when you go, hey, I only want to do really, I can't be asked doing the exploratory zone for this second weapon, or this my first weapon. I'd rather just get the weapon, and I can get it guaranteed if I do XYZ. And I think from there, you're happy. As long as they don't... The stream is lagging a bit. Right, okay. I don't know why, though. Let me just, I'm just gonna clean up some bits and pieces. Stand over here. I'm just gonna quit out of a whole bunch of stuff that could be causing that lag, because I am noticing that every now and again it does start saying that I'm not doing as well. I think it all makes sense now. Yes, I think my internet is being eaten up by, unfortunately, by downstairs. I hope it hasn't affected it too much. We shall see. I'll go through everything later. That's a bit of a bugger. Oh, it's gonna be the safe zones over here. Either way. I'll get back to this, and we'll see how well it goes. Right. I think that's level 24. Yes. And I'll give it a moment to kind of catch up with itself. So I'm gonna eat another chippy. So it's climbing back up. It seems like it's coming back somehow. I wonder if saying it's low. It's bouncing around a fair bit. Right. Just give me a second. Settings. Projectors, system tray, preview, Importers, studio mode, multi-view, stream, outputs, encoder, good quality. Let's move that there. Audio encoder. Sorry, I'm just doing a little bit of oh, no. Screen. Right. That should be right. That should be a bit better. That's a little bit of a shame. I do feel a little bit bad that I've had to hog the internet myself. But it is what it is. This may not be so much of an issue in a little bit. I'm still trying to figure out some technical foibles. All in all, but that's I'm still a touch sad. I don't think she's gonna have to go that far, but I do appreciate it. No, we're back up to the green. OBS is no longer freaking out at me, so that's at least one thing. My entire train of thought. Hopefully it hasn't like completely gone missing. But yeah, we are just about to finish the first 3 dungeons. We'll quickly bring up that again. Yes. So we're just about to finish the first 3 dungeons, and we are. We're currently at 1.5 hours. So most of my time has been actively doing content and doing. Did I pick up? Yes, I did. So most of my time this stream has been actually doing stuff, which I'm going to say is quite nice. You had 3 dungeons back to back. You've had things to do as an adventurer, where it's like, first off, there are pirates. Go sort out the pirates. Secondly, there's a cult in a crypt. They're doing things. They're summoning things. It's a bit funny. Can you go sort them out? And then you've got the, giants who were trapped in a mine have come out and they're starting to kill all the miners. It's good, solid stuff. And, the bosses have been different enough. And I will say that compared to the old versions, there's pluses and there's minuses. Like, especially in this dungeon. Like the previous, with the Tamtara Deepcroft, you had the issue that it hasn't really changed that much. There's no major changes in the bosses. With Sastasha, it's all pretty much the same. It's this dungeon that they've changed the most. And what I will say is the first boss was primarily a kind of horde, where you didn't really fight the actual boss until right at the very end of the particular fight. Then the second boss, this used to be a boss that you couldn't damage as a just using your weapons. You had to spawn a bomb which will then fly over and explode next to it, and you had to make sure that the bomb survived because other things would attack it. And then you would break it up. Every time that you would explode it, it would turn into 2 slimes, then 4 slimes, and then finally 8 slimes, and they're small enough that you can then actually start killing them. To a degree, I actually quite like that, and I think it's an interesting design. It's just not really implemented as well as it could have been. Now, when you then have the new versions, well, the new version of the first boss, instead of fighting the horde, you are now instead just fighting the boss. And you go, okay, cool. But he's got a lot more moves. They're starting to use... Yes. In fact, very much like the Slay the Spire boss. And I think that's just kind of in general for slimes in RPGs. They split and they divide, and they're the blob. That kind of thing. So, when... and when you've got these kind of changes, like they've got new moves, they started to kind of incorporate designs for and start standardizing certain AoE markers, where you go like, oh, that's now the marker for, say, a tank buster. That's a stack. That's a this. That's a that. So you can really start teaching players what they're going to be seeing in later content a lot earlier, because one of the issues was everything was kind of its own thing up until you got to Savage, and then Savage started using all kinds of weird stuff. So you got caught out by things just because you didn't understand what the symbol meant. I will be looking into Hall of the Novice properly on my more in-depth character. For this one, I'm just kind of gonna take the hit and just be like, I know what I'm doing, to a degree. And I've been playing long enough where I should be able to say I do know what I'm doing. And what I'm doing right now is pressing the same buttons over and over and over again. But then again, that is, that's just playing the DPS, that's playing the game. It's hitting the same buttons over and over and over again. No, get no new gear. So I'll probably get the hat, and I'll have a full set. So over these 3 dungeons, there's one gear set that gets shared out through all of them, and I've gotten pretty much the full set. And also, this boss is very different, because originally this boss there were 2 breakable rocks at either side of the room, and the boss would stand where you tanked him, and he would go and attack the tank as he should be. But then after a point he would go, right, I'm going to go over to one of these rocks, and then I'm going to break the rock, and giants would start spawning as once every so and so amount of time. And if you weren't careful, these giants would kind of overwhelm you, because after a point he'd go break the second rock, or the giants from the first rock would go break the second rock. I can't really remember. I'm gonna have to have a look into that. And it would be that sort of thing. It's like, oh, you have to kill him quickly enough so that the giants, the other giants that come out, aren't gonna actually cause a problem for you, or you have to maintain killing the additional enemies. It didn't work like that, because this is it's an early dungeon, and people just found that after a certain point you could just kill the boss, ignore everything else, and you'll be fine. So they changed when the fights worked. I think it was for Endwalker, where they kind of did a revamp for, I'm pretty sure it was Endwalker, where they added the duty support in, So and especially this is more on the Japanese player base. The Japanese player base was saying, there was a bunch of people saying it's like, hey, I'd love to play 14, but I'm a single player person. I don't do I don't do all of this playing with other people stuff. And I'm level 25. Nice. So painted mesa, so that's back there. Right, before I do that, I'm going to go back over here. And I'm going to do 2 Lance quests. So yeah, they would... A lot of people were, and obviously Square Enix being a Japanese game company with a primarily Japanese user base and primarily a Japanese development team, would be more interested in taking the feedback from the Japanese. So they started implementing the duty support and ways for you to do stuff. Like you can get through the main story almost entirely. Now, you can get through the entirety of the main story with NPCs by yourself. And that's great. Like, if you have to work odd hours and all of this, that, and the other. There's only a few things, which is mainly the trials and then the 24-man raids, where you actually have to rely on other people. And I'm not, it might take you a little bit of time to get through, say, Crystal Tower. And it may take you a little bit of time to find a group for Titan hard mode, or because I'm pretty sure you have to do the hard mode fights as well. But it's all of the 8-man and then 24-man content you actually have to do with real people. But anything 4-man and particular story mode trials in, say, the newer expansions, you can then do with the the NPCs that are around you, and they've made it work that you could be a healer, you could be a tank, you could be a DPS. I think it does genuinely work. Right, I'm done. Can I skip the cutscene? Yes, I can. I'm always dreading the point where it just goes, you cannot. No, like that. No. Yeah, proceed with the trial. I still can't skip. I don't care about you. I'm literally just gonna mash through the button. They're talking about something, I guess. He has pink eyes. I'm here to poke things with my spiky stick. Bloody boar tusks from wild boars. Where are these at? Yeah, I'll just teleport over there. But no, you've got, and to be able to do the story mode by yourself, pretty much. Yeah, that's great. And the fact that they have the NPCs, and they play in a safe manner. They don't necessarily play, fast or loose, like, yeah. So when you're not doing the older content for the story, you're then presented with a choice. Do you go with the NPCs for a guaranteed queue whenever whatever time of day that you're playing. You don't have to rely on people specifically queuing up for the old piece of content that you're doing, whether you're leveling up or doing something else or whatever. And you'll get the dungeon, but it will happen kind of as and when. You'll have to just go through the motions, or you can wait for other players to pop up, and then other players will come in and they'll go balls to the wall, and you could be done in 10 minutes. It won't take that long because everyone's the tank's pulling properly, the healer's DPSing properly, and I just try to use a mount which I don't have. And yeah, like when it comes to the story dungeons and other bits and pieces, like I like the fact that they didn't make the NPCs like purely perfect, and there was a level of, hey, there's certain characters have personality traits. Like Alize will use the limit break as soon as she's able to. Estinian will sit in an AoE if he knows that it's not going to do that much to him, but he can maintain damaging the boss. Like, it's all these little bits and pieces. Like, I like these little flares. They're cool, and you don't necessarily have to do stuff with the NPCs. But if you like the NPCs, you can then do the trust. And then the trust system, you level them up, and then you can put them in silly outfits. Like the holiday gear for the Dawn Trail stuff. That's great. I love that kind of stuff. But and I think this is going to be, it's one of those complaints which, the best way I can put it is the endless summer complaint. And it's people who started off, especially veteran MMO players, people who started off in Ultima, EverQuest, like these much older MMO games, where a lot of stuff was very much player led, and if you wanted to do stuff, even FF11 players to a certain degree, you had to, but that's the, when you say you feel guilty, that's where the that's where the trust system comes in, because then you can bring them in, because you'll have to level them, you'll have to do the dungeons a couple of times, so you can have those different combinations where you get like the special character interactions between, say, Thancred and Urianger, or Y'shtola and Urianger, and so on and so forth, and then the twins bickering with each other. You've got the option, it's not a one and done. And you can always go back and you can always do it again. What was I saying? I had another point. I'm skipping this one. So yeah, I'm gonna get through this job quest. Yes, that's what I was saying. It's the fact that 14 in of itself, you don't actually have to like, you don't have to physically go and ask people. Like, they took away after Heaven's Ward the fact that to go into a raid, you used to have to go up to the front door of the raid and have your full party there, and you have to all be there at the same time. They got rid of that. You can all sit in your housing district and just wait for someone to queue up. If you want to go do anything, like even in WoW and things like that, you had to go and essentially, You had to go to the place to do the thing, and then you had to find people while you're there. And you know, I know a lot. I've heard older MMO players saying like, well, in let's say Final Fantasy 11, to level up you had to do X, to do this you had to do Y. You had to you had to really rely on people. You had to work with the other people in the game world, and definitely to a degree, it is. I understand that there's that kind of loss of community, that kind of lamenting of, these are supposed to be massively multiplayer games, but you can kind of float through it by yourself with, only the odd sign of someone else if you just pass them in a kind of populated area, or eventually if you're in if you're in a kind of there's like, if you're in a lower level area and you're just doing stuff, you have the whole thing of, well, there's probably someone flying around gathering, or there's someone fishing, but that's like one person, and you might not see a soul. Even in one of the newer areas, you might not even see another soul for like ages. And it's these aspects which I do understand, but especially how kind of gaming has kind of changed. You have max making lobbies, you have this, that, and the other now. Now I still remember. No, 14 is very much an MMO for people who don't do MMOs, which is probably why I got into it so much, because I was very much staunchly like, oh no, I don't like that. I like my single player games. I like, I don't really like playing with other people, whether it's like PvE or PvP. No, that's not for me. But having played this for so long and having engaged with various different aspects of it, like I do understand that there's a place, and I understand there's a place for it, and it's a good thing that some things should be people coming together to work as a team. Ah, shit. But the problem is like, most players nowadays, they don't have the time or the commitment to really go for something like super old school like that. And that's not saying anything about current players. It's more the fact that back when it was niche, that could be more viable, because you could put something out and you could sell like maybe 2,000 copies of it, or you could have it up as freeware, or this, that, and the other, and you'd make something out of it. But now, with development costs, with all of the other stuff, if you're not pulling in, the numbers to kind of make yourself viable, then doing that kind of thing that's going to alienate a lot of different people is very much like, it's scary, and people don't really want to try and do that. Right, where am I? So if I go down there, that puts me, that's a South Shroud, Central Shroud, South Shroud. I just need to figure out where I'm going. Actually, it's probably better if I go over here. And it's definitely something like that, and it's the stuff that I am going to be considering. I'll quickly finish off this Lancer quest, and then I'll go back to the main story. Because technically, you're supposed to be coming into this area at this point of the game. So you're supposed to be going into the South Shroud around about level 25 anyway, for the level 24 dungeon. Now, because of how you level in terms of just doing the game, you're very much like not actually yeah. Oop, I went the wrong way. I wasn't paying attention. Yeah. So I could technically wait until the main story brings me here, but the main story is not going to bring me here for quite a few quests. Because there's a lot of stuff in between, and yeah, it's gonna take a while. What I am going to do though is I'm going to be very smart. First off, sort by name. Shoot, bring that back up. Dance. So dance is going to be an emote that I'm gonna need. Doubt, I know, is one of them. Look out, I think, is another one. Psych is there. So I am just up to the point where I finished the 3rd dungeon. So I am going to go back to the quicksand. I'm going to talk to the miner. Then there's going to be an altercation outside where we meet a particular merchant or something like that. And then after that, the game is going to go into the run up to Ifrit. And it's going to be my first foray into dealing with a primal. That's where the story's going, if I remember correctly. So we'll go from Aldar, then there will be a little bit in Drybone. I think we get introduced to Sid for the first time. And then there's something to do, I'm pretty sure there's the first introduction of the Scions, where we have to go do the Scions of the 7th Dawn, and we go to the Waking Sands. Oh. I thought I had a message from work. To be honest, I would say, like, I have a very soft spot for A Realm Reborn. Like, I genuinely like A Realm Reborn. It takes itself slow. It takes itself, there's a lot of build up where if you're paying attention, the world feels like it's been lived in. It feels like people have come together to kind of rebuild after a time. There's a little bit of uncertainty around, and but people are trying to move on with their lives. No, I definitely know that there's something like that. There's a good feeling. It's a really cozy feeling as well. Of like, this is like your classic. It's almost anime RPG. Like how an anime world of like an isekai or something like that would be like, hey, you've got this, that, and the other, and these places are Volga floats. It's probably just easy enough to go back to New Gridania. So yeah, Realm Reborn has like, because they had 2 years worth of development where they were trying to put everything in as they possibly could. Should be able just to pop out through the... Yes, I can. Yes, I can. So yeah, there's the aspect of, you know, Realm Reborn had a lot more time for, and you know, each city state has its own, you know, kind of, it has its own load of zones. It's not just one big zone for one place, as it kind of has been since Heaven's Ward and how they've been doing the expansions. Which, not to say is it's not the worst, but there's definitely something lost where, you know, you have all of these different parts of different parts of the map, but then you have, say, the Sea of Clouds is one aspect of Ishgard, and you've got the Dravalian Forelands, the Hinterlands, and while in A Realm Reborn, that would be like, you know, as you can see, you know, I've been in 4 different zones for just the forest, and then there's a whole bunch of different zones just for, you know, the other bits, and so on and so forth. I should really grab Etherites when I come up to them, because it's gonna annoy me later down the line. I know. I think I'm gonna have to get all of the Limsa ones as well. This guy's upstairs if I remember rightly. Yep, he's right over there. I'm gonna stand on the table, so I'm finally taller than someone. Yep. I must slay things. And I forgot about that bit. I remember talking to that guy, but I couldn't remember the fact that I had to go out and actually kill stuff. So that I'm still kind of keeping my mind focused on, like, right, how much have I been doing gameplay wise? So I've just done the 3 dungeons. I'm now doing my class quests, where that's essentially been go out and kill things, and then we had the little tournament of, hey, go up against progressively stronger foes, see how you do with them, and you take them out quite quickly, so that's not an issue. And then it's go and kill 10 boars. Then you put the boar tusks in a row, and then you get the big boar come out, and then you've got like a little boss battle where you're not actually fighting the boss, you're fighting the things around the boss. And that's kind of the thing that, you know, does happen a lot, especially in the early game when it comes to job quests, and it's annoying. Like, you have to do it for warrior, you have to do it for, you know, a bunch of different classes. And funny enough, there's a fella running around who is doing the exact same quest as I am. That's why there's no enemies to fight, because he's also killed them all. So now I have to kind of wait for them to, you know what, I'm not bothering with you. Go away. Leave me alone. I may not have to leave this one alone though. I'll kill this one real quick. So it's like in actual gameplay, I've had to obviously engage in some combat. Then there's the cutscenes and, you know, talking to people. But the highlight's really been the 3 different dungeons, the 3 different locales, And at this point in the game, I would say you're not necessarily like paying attention so much to the fact that they are corridors with little rooms on the side. Like, the dungeons are fairly linear. It's kind of, there's more the excitement of like, oh wow, that's a, you know, that's a boss, or oh wow, I've just gone through and oh, I leveled up, oh, I got some new shiny gear. So that in of itself is like, I'm gonna say it's like I've been having a bit of fun doing those 3 dungeons back to back, and that's kind of where the benefit of cutscene skipping has come into it, where I have been able to just go back to back and just go straight in. But I'm now level 26, which is perfect because I now finally have access to my third part, my combo, which means that taking this down should not be that hard at all, because now I can actually press some buttons. It's still going to be slow going for at least a little while, and I've got one more Lancer quest, and once I finish that, I can then move on to Dragoon. But I assume I will not be anywhere close to actually. You know what, I shouldn't teleport. I should save my money, and I should save my little tickets as well, because I've only got 10 grand. I'm not at the point to start willy-nilly spending everything. And yeah, it looks like after the little incident with streaming games onto a PS4, we're no longer having the issues with the stream. Oh well, it's one of those. So I've been going now for 2 hours. I will finish up. I should be finishing this up very, very shortly, and then we can get back to the main story. So 2 hours seems to be a good. You know, you can do a decent amount of stuff in 2 hours of this game. Ah, shite. That's no good. Right, I will teleport back to the main zone, so we can go hand this in. I can't remember if I get a skill from this though. Once I move up to the job, every job quest, I'm pretty certain gives you a skill. But we shall have to see. Right, Yawain. There you go. Right. 25, 25, 25, 25. You know what? I will go for the shirt. I will have a new shirt. Yeah. I have a silver battle fork. Yeah. Forkin'. Okay, so now I will go back to Ulda and I'll use my free ticket. And I'm half tempted, because what's it? We're coming up to 11 o'clock my time. I'm half tempted to see how long it's going to take me to actually get to Ifrit. Because if I can get to Ifrit within the next kind of half an hour, then I'll be quite happy with myself. I know there's a lot more time needed if I was actually to watch and pay attention to the dialogue. But there is definitely the hope of being able to just get in and smack people around. So I'm synced down to level 21. So yeah, I'm now 5 level above the main story quest. And that's very much like that's going to be an issue. And I'm going to start outpacing the main story by quite a large amount, which is good because up until there's a certain point where everything kind of falls down, and I stop getting quite as much EXP from doing things, and dungeons in of themselves aren't as they're kind of more optional. So anything that's a story mode dungeon, there's a good point where I'm just like not going to be able to do anything without going out of my way. Oops. Skip. So there was our particularly meddlesome merchant, and he and his bodyguards have been routed. So I'm going to go back in, I'm going to talk, and I'm pretty sure this might be the point where they start going on about the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. Yep, and I was incredibly right. Nice. So yeah, I'm still on the level 17 quests. So I need to go to Vesper Bay and Central Fanalan. To be honest, I am actually going to go and walk all the way around to the Western Fanalan thing. And I am going to go there because I forgot to actually... yeah, I forgot to attune to the Western Fanalan Aephorite, which is really not going to help me in the long run. So I should really get to actually helping myself out later down the line. But yeah, we're up to the point where the Scions of the Seventh Dawn are being introduced properly. Now, if you were doing the Uldar starting, so let's say you started off as a pugilist, thaumaturge, or a gladiator, you would have met Thancred. If you did any of the Limsa jobs, you would have met Ishtola. And me doing a Gridania job, I am supposed to have met Yida and Papalimo. Now, unfortunately, I haven't met anyone because I haven't bothered to pay attention to anything. So all these characters are now going to come out, and there's going to be a whole big thing of like, oh, we're this, that, and the other. And then nothing's really going to happen. What I'm going to do is, while I'm running, I'm going to quickly have a look at my phone, see if there's anything of interest. No, like, see if anyone's actually talked to me. It's my utilities. I need to put some money on my gas and electric. Wunderbar. That's about as far as it's going. But yeah, I may, or all things depending, I may push towards possibly 3 hours. But as I said, I'll see how long it's going to take me to get to Ifrit. If it takes me less than that, then fantastic. I'll be Ifrit, and that'll be it. Jobs are good in. And I can probably pick this back up tomorrow evening, after I've made roast chicken. Cool. I've got that now. I should have tuned to the one in Aleport as well. Yeah, I might just have to do a bit of a little bit of a tidy up next stream as some housekeeping. where I go around the main city-states and I do various bits and pieces. But yeah, like, oh, I'm still quite surprised that I can remember as much of A Realm Reborn. There's definitely going to be some bits coming up soon where you have the kind of 20s to 30s where there's a bunch of quests that I've probably forgotten. But as soon as I get to them, I'll be like, oh yeah, it's this, and then this comes after this, and this comes after this. When I'm doing the more involved character, the long version of this, that's where they're gonna really come into it. You also got the fact that almost every place that I'm coming to has loads of locked quests and loads of little side quests. They are all going to get done. Tartaru. Tartaru, we all know and love, and I'm not listening. So, yeah, once I'm doing the long form character, that's when every time I get into a new area, I'm going to do all of the quests available. I don't want any of that. I just want the money. Skip. I don't care about human philia. Active help. I'm hiring a retainer. This is at the point where I can get a retainer. Cool. Yeah. I was not paying attention to that and skipped the cutscene. Cool, I guess. I do have the Vesper Bay Ephraite tickets, and there's 40 of them. I don't remember getting that many. But I am also not complaining. Put those there. Bancred! Nice. The Wild Rose is a reference to Final Fantasy II, and it is the reference for the Rebel Army. And it's what your code word was, because they had a whole system of having certain phrases and words to speak to NPCs with, which in of itself is quite nifty for a NES game. I think it was possibly 88 or 89. I don't know, 3 came out in 90. Yeah, 3 came out in 90. 4 was 91 or 92 or something like that. Right, so the Goblet, Ul'dah, okay, Westwind. Right, to get to Eastern Fanalan. Ooh, let's find out. It will be Central Fanalan. So I can get to Central Fanalan from here. Okay. I kept on going off of the option to actually go. And I shouldn't have to go directly through the main city. Nope. It's right there. So if you kind of plan it effectively, you can get around fairly easily. I mean, as soon as I've done the base game, then flying's everywhere and I don't have to worry at all. It's just mainly going to be, making sure I can teleport to a place and then fly from there. So, all in all, no big deal. That's just over here. I remember spending a lot of time in and around these areas, whether it's leveling up new classes, leveling up gatherers. Like a lot of these kind of basic kind of overworld themes are burnt in. So Steps of Fanalan, Southern Fanalan, Eastern Fanalan. So I'll pass by the teleport stone, the Nephrite anyway. And to be honest, like, we've been going for around about 4 hours. 4 hours, we're up to level 17. I mean, that's a good chunk of just doing 2 different types of quests and skipping all of the cutscenes. The dungeons themselves are each being on average around about 20-25 minutes. So like, that's 3 dungeons. Let's give it half an hour for you know, just to be kind of generous. So that's an hour and a half of your game has been doing direct duties with dungeons. And then everything else has been running from place to place and getting, you know, going from person to person, getting the occasional item from killing enemies, and just busy work. General MMO busy work. Now, I like this. Personally, I don't find this a problem whatsoever. Like, this is great, and it's great for me just getting my thoughts out and being able to do so. So I don't mind this. I can see this being an anathema to so many people, though, where they don't mind the combat if they were not, you know, pressing 1, 2, 3 all the time. And if they had stuff where it's not just move out of the obvious, you know, big puddle on the ground. I got myself caught in geometry again. I tend to do that quite a lot when I'm trying to get through places, because I end up trying to go as the crow flies, take shortcuts and do all kinds of silly stuff, so I just get caught on rocks and trees. Nothing important. So now we're in Eastern Falan, and Thancred is over there. So if I remember rightly, the actual Ifrit trial is either level 20 or level 21 in the main story quest kind of level system. So we've got to get all the way up to there. Right. Oh, crunch. Have a big stretch. Oh, it's not even talking to Thancred. Talking to someone else. Yep, whatever. Talk to me, man. Oh. Right down there. So I wish you had a bloody mount at this point. Would be nice. Think I can follow this round, so I can come out this side. Perfect. Not do the old thing of falling down there. So the whole thing about Drybone, if I remember rightly, at this point in the story, I'm going to be helping out because it's like a massive cemetery, and it's where lots of people die around here, so they've got all of this, that, and the other. And there was like some kind of ambush here. There's the Beastmen's. Yep. They are level 12. I am very much not level 12. And I'm just going to pick up some corpses that are more than twice the size of me. Perfect. I'm a strong little man. So yeah, got this section. This section isn't gonna last overly long, especially if I'm skipping everything. I can't remember. It's been a long time ago since I've actually done this, and especially doing it in a way where I'm just not paying attention is not helping, not helping me remember anything. So we have to go to Ungust. If I remember rightly, this is precisely the dodgy. Yep, this is the dodgy little merchant. You are a twat. You and your bodyguards decided to attack me, and then I killed them. Well, beat them up. Close enough. Right then, ignore him. There's a lot of poverty-stricken people around. I gotta take their time doing their little emotes. Let me just talk to you. Everyone's doing pretty shit around here. Just like real life. Hooray! Back to this sniveling person. Right. We are looking at, it is coming up to 2.5 hours. I don't think I'm going to reach here for it. Possibly in the next half an hour, but not right now. That is just not happening. Yep. And yet again, I go straight for the mount that does not exist. I wonder if I have actions and traits, general. I do. I'll do that there. I have no access to it because I am, as the game just said, unauthorized. I'm not allowed to ride on anything. I don't have my driver's license yet. Which is great. Who's this fellow? This strange yet familiar fellow who has lost his memory. Yep. So many bodies. Yeah, whatever. Where am I sticking them? That's a good question. Where am I sticking them? Do I have to go around there? I do. That's something. I'm pretty sure that's something that tripped me up for a little while. I didn't realise there was a little bit around. I was just kind of going like, where do I put everything? Cool. I've just buried an embalmed corpse. Yep. Right, you... Yep. Back to Camp Drybone. Nah, this shouldn't take too long. I'll just go jump off a few cliffs. Yeah, jump off a few cliffs, and I should be able to talk directly to the person. Oh. So it's about 11:15 my time. I think I'm gonna go up to. I'm gonna go for like another 5 minutes or so. Don't need any of that. Level 27. Bloody hell. I am probably going to be level 30. I think if I reach level 30 before I hit Ifrit, I think I'll stop. I'll stop for tonight. That is, if I reach level 30 first. Considering how So I'm going to get 6,000 EXP for this. I need 54,000. Yeah, might start slowing down a little bit. Might. That's not the worst. What I am gonna do is I'm probably, yeah, I think I may stop soon. I start to feel it's like I'm an old, oh, what have I done? No, I've put the wrong action in the wrong place. Right. General. Mount roulette. Pop that there. Right. That'll be very useful later on. But I kind of need my beginning of my combo. Otherwise I can't hit anything. Oh no! They're having problems. Fates and everything. They don't really come to be that important until later expansions. Now that would be nice to have as a retroactive thing, to put the bicolored gemstones earlier, and to have particularly monster drops for each area being available through stuff via fates. Because you do kind of need, especially to a degree, you need a retainer unless you're going to buy straight off the market board to get some drops. Otherwise you're going to be out here for hours just hitting the same 5 mobs trying to get, like, you know, certain blood for your one alchemy craft. Right, where am I going now? I am going to teleport. I am being that lazy. And it also puts me back in a sanctuary, which means I do gain rested EXP for being in a safe place per se. Right, I'm now up to level 19 quests. That's not bad, that's not bad. Right, south. It will be that end. That'll probably be the easiest for me to do if I run up that end. I used to get myself twisted all over the place trying to get out of that particular town. Quite funny looking back on it. But now I've done it for so long, and it makes no difference whatsoever. Like, I could, and I have anecdotal evidence that I have done stuff in this game where I have literally been asleep. Like, I've queued up for a roulette at, you know, when I didn't quite have so many responsibilities, and I hadn't become such an old man that I wake up at, like, you know, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, just off my own back, where I would queue up for a dungeon via a roulette, and then I would do said dungeon as a tank, DPS, or even a healer, and I would be asleep. But I'd still be able to find my pathing, and I'd still be able to find, you know, my skills, and not die that many times, and not let everyone else die that many times. Which is very interesting, if you think about it. Right, let's grab one of these queer leaflets. And let's run back out. So I've managed to do it without getting aggro from any of these Almojar. So I'm very grateful for. Good luck, pal. I'm not helping. Thancred. Yep, there you go. I found this weird bit of paper. Seems a bit culty to me. Back to Camp Drybone. Lots of teleporting. Lots of spending only 100 gil at a time. However, I am now up to 11,000. That's not bad. Right. Is it in here or here? I think it's in this one. And I was right. Perfect. Cool. There you go. Have that. Talk to Bankroad. Bankroad. Everything is going good. I think, is this another level 19 quest? Because we're over 2.5 hours now. Yep. Give me that money. We are at Dress to Deceive. Aha, we are at this point. I can skip a cutscene again. Right, Shepherd's Tunic and Shepherd's Slops. So I can do that, I can do that, and now I can talk to people. I'm dressed up appropriately. Yep, another refugee. Oh, I'm so poor. I'll switch voice as soon as you talk to me about anything else like a Bolivian NPC. I am rather grateful, but I am also dreading. I am also dreading the fact that it will not be too much longer before I end up having to listen to all of the Realm Reborn English dialogue again. And yeah, it's definitely. Oh, there's someone down here. Perfect. Let me jump down. Yep. Cool beans. Come on, let's get on with it. And I just quickly caught a little bit of dialogue from Bankroad, which, like, you have a knack for being a nuisance. It's like, oh, thank you. Yeah, this is the best way. I still don't have sprint back up. Sprint being a minute cooldown for 20 seconds of running. I mean, if you're out of combat, like, I would like a reduced, or a kind of like a brisker jog rather than a sprint that you can kind of alternate between two, but have like the other one not be available in combat, same as the Palantir ability of range classes. That is a hunt mark. That's the A rank hunt mark. I am not getting close to you if I can help it. Right. Waking Sands. Cool. I have to go back to the Waking Sands. That's the first time. And I should be able to get away with never running out of these tickets. I wonder if you can buy them. That'd be interesting. Right. I'm in a good place, actually. But what I am going to do... Can I not buy... I cannot buy from you. Tools? Nope. Is there another person? Might be... No, I cannot. Crafting tome vendor. What? I didn't realise there was someone like that there. I was going to buy some Gashel greens ready for when I get access to a chocobo, but I think that's going to have to wait for another time. I think at the beginning of my next stream will be when I do some inventory management, because I feel it filling up. And it's gear for other classes now, which I don't care about. Is also starting to take up space. Right. Okay. Okay. That's, that in of itself is a very good place to end. And thank you very much for watching. I am not bothered about doing any of the materia stuff right now. So I am going to say goodbye, say goodnight, and I will be on tomorrow. If I get a chance to, I've got a couple of ideas for adding a bit more flair to the stream. But until that point, I think I shall see you later. Goodbye.